Welcome back to Real Role Models, a space where I chat with truly inspiring and motivating people from all around the world who have accomplished so many things in their lives and the lives of other people. Today, I'm joined by somebody who spontaneously decided to quit her job and dedicate 1 year for missionary work. So all the way from Spain, please welcome Veronica.
Thank you, Alexandra.
It's so nice to see you and to see that you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks God, and nice to see you too.
Can you just talk through and describe and explain your thought process and what really made you decide to take 1 year off and dedicate it to missionary work?
Yeah, of course. I studied aerospace engineering, and then I started working in Airbus, a worldwide leader in aircraft manufacturing. So actually, I was like in the best company I could have in my area. And I was very happy at the beginning, and I worked in total 5 years, combining Madrid and Munich in Germany. The thing is that I was enjoying my job, but I always had the question inside of me, like, is it really what I want to do? So we had a meeting in Toulouse, in France, where we all joined. And we stopped our work for 2 days to define the basis of our team, like what is important for us, what drives our team. And I was thinking that, oh, wow, the company has stopped for 2 days. So I have stopped for 2 days answering calls, answering emails. The company's paying my flights, my hotel, like all the travel expenses. And I was, wow, for a company, it's important to stop and to establish this foundation, and then you can build. Then you can really build what you want instead of working without any purpose, instead of working without any objective.
Yeah.
And I started to have the same questions for myself. Like, what are my objectives? Like, what is the purpose of what I'm doing? I am like building a basis in my life. What fascinates me? It is really fascinating me. Is here where I want to give like my best. So I was realizing that I was no longer giving my best there. And this also caused to be that I was like more serious at work.
Yeah.
I started to be more silent, and I'm not like this. I like to be joyful. I like to be like talking with my colleagues, but I started like not being happy with what I was doing. And at the same time, I was realizing that nobody's going to take any decision for me. If I want to make a change, I have to be the active part of this change. It's like imagine you see the movie of your film in a passive way. Come on, no, it's the movie of your life, so you cannot be a spectator. It's like you have to be the star.
Yeah.
You cannot be like a second character if it's the movie of your life. It also helped me. I had a friend in Munich, and she gave me a dress that she was no longer using, and it was a beautiful dress, and I was so happy that she was giving it to me. I arrived home and I tried this dress, and when I tried this dress and I looked myself in the mirror, I was like, oh, this looks horrible to me. So when a clothes is not your size, it doesn't fit you well. I thought, okay, this dress is beautiful, but it's not for me. My job was perfect. I mean, I have not quit my job because of a bad environment, because of bad bosses. Not at all. Actually, the opposite. I had very good team, very good colleague, very good boss. I'm very happy to have worked there. But the thing is that it's a perfect job, but not for me. It's like the example of the dress. I'm just remembering now. In the kind of job I was doing in Munich, as we were working with a computer program, we had to solve problems in this program. And many times we didn't know the right solution at the first time. So we had to try different solutions, or we had to risk. And my colleague, he used to say, no risk, no fun. I was taking a risk, but at the same time, it was something that I had thought about for a lot of months. So I decided to talk to my boss. He was sad because we had a very good relation and we worked very well. But at the same time, he was like, go. It's like, do what your heart desires. And after this talk, I felt so free, so released and peaceful. I was again the joyful girl at work, like I was working again in my 100%. I was smiling again, and
Yeah.
that
A weight was lifted off your shoulders.
completely. And it's what I said. It's because I felt that I took an action, I took a decision um, that nobody else will do.
That is amazing. And you mentioned that you were reflecting on what you were passionate about and the areas.
Yeah,
Can you explain why you chose missionary work, how much it means to you?
I was trying to identify what fascinates me, what really motivates me, what I will do despite the salary. I think this is like a key question. And I realized like two aspects, like faith, like dedicating my time to announce God, to bring God's love to others, and at the same time working for justice, to improve society. I was involved in different social projects, like teaching Spanish to immigrants, teaching Spanish to women that were in prostitution, mafias. So I had already been involved, like in projects where I can bring like benefit to others. So that's why I said, okay, I want to spend at least next year for these two areas that I love, faith and justice. Of course, I didn't know that this pandemic will come, but I always had in my heart the desire of spending some time in India. I don't know if you've heard about Mother Teresa of Calcutta.
Of course, yeah.
Yes, she's famous everywhere, even for non-Christians. So it's famous because all the work she did. And the sisters, they continue doing this work. I realized that I was having this dream since a long time. And then I made this question, how long more am I going to wait? So I decided to buy a flight ticket to India for 7 weeks. And wow, I don't know if you want me to tell you like what I
100%.
found there or
No, please. I think, first of all, what I'd really like to mention right now is that it's so inspiring to hear that you did follow your passion, because I think it's easier said than done. I think we tend to change our priorities and we tend to change our values over time because, like you mentioned, of salaries, or because, this is the path that I have to follow career wise. And so it takes a lot of courage to really take time off and to dedicate it to projects such as missionary work and such as, standing up for people for justice. So it's extremely admirable. And please, please, please tell us everything about India, everything that you've learned, things that you were expecting, what you weren't expecting.
Well, I arrived in Calcutta, and actually, Calcutta is, you feel like in another planet. When you are there the first week, you cannot understand how the reality there is so different to like modern world, like developed countries. I had this question like, am I in the same world? Is this the same world? I was coming from Germany, from Munich, like from a bubble, like all like comfortable and good quality life. And I landed there where there is a lot of suffering, a lot of poverty, a lot of population. So this also makes it more complex, because a lot of population is in poor areas. I was helping the sisters of Mother Teresa of Calcutta. So we were praying a lot and working a lot. So we were waking up 5:30. We were having a mass, a religious celebration, and then it started our morning work. My morning work was in a center for disabled children. I was with the disabled girls. There were a total 27 from 4 years to 14 years. And the reality with disabled people there is very sad because it is still seen as a punishment. So when a family has like a disabled kid, they don't want to take care of this kid. So they abandon them in the streets, or they directly take them to the sister centers.
Wow.
So in addition, they have another mental complications because of having been starving for a week in the streets, something like this. So The work there is precious with these girls. You feel like surrounded by angels because they are pure love. These girls, they have so many disabilities that many of them, they do not interact, or they interact like very little. So it's not that you can sing with them, you can play, you can do big things with them. But the houses of Mother Teresa, they have a lot of sayings of Mother Teresa in the walls, and there were two that really helped and saved my experience. One was, it's not how much you do, but it's how much love you put in what you do. Wow, this changed because I realized it was not about doing a lot of things with these girls, because sometimes it was not possible, but it was about loving these girls a lot. Perhaps what you do is something very little. Perhaps what you do is a small game or a small song, but do it with all your love. And another saying that Mother Teresa said was, you cannot always do great things, but you can always do things with great love. After having read this, my experience there changed, and I gave there my 100%, all my love with these girls, with every little thing that I was doing with them. The first days, I was like, oh, how am I going to learn the names of these girls? Because they are Indian names. They are very strange names. I never heard these names before. And many of these girls, they are very similar. They look very similar. And the sisters, they cut their hair in a similar way. So it was so impossible for me to know who was who. And I wanted to call every girl with her name. And I prayed God help me with this mission, with this task. Help me to learn the names of these girls. Because, God loves us by our name, like individually. I wanted to have like this individual treat with these girls. And yeah, God answered my prayer. And the next day I made this prayer, I started, it was like the names were in my brain somewhere. And then I learned all the names. I can tell you, Alexandra, I was so thankful to God because this didn't come from me.
Yeah, wow.
Immediately, I knew the 27 names, and I was so happy to call every of the girls with her name. Remembering now the girls, and I really miss them. I wish to see again Yoti and Rosa. Yeah. And then the afternoon work, I was in another center. This was the first center Mother Teresa opened, and it's for destitute and dying. So this is not for children, it's for adults. In Calcutta, there are a lot of adult people alone in the streets, dying in the streets, and they need a medical treatment, and they need food. They are starving. So the sisters every Wednesday afternoon, they go out in the streets and they bring men and women according to the capacity of the center, because the center is limited. And they will bring so many people but they do not have beds for everybody. But they try to take advantage of any space in the center to bring new beds and bring new people. So in the afternoon, I was in the center, and it's also a very hard experience because there is people with different sicknesses, like skin sicknesses, cancers, that they have tumors, like big tumors, a lot of blind people, and a lot of women with burned faces. This is shocking. So I was there in the afternoon. We were making massage to them. We were putting creams. We were combing hairs of the women. We were helping them to do exercises, like to recover the movements of their body. And also we were helping with the dinner, because some of the women, because of their weakness, they cannot move no longer, so they cannot eat, they cannot feed themselves. As I say, it's hard because you see that they are like adults, completely alone in life, that thanks to the sisters, they can be there and they can receive dignity. They can be treated as people. In the streets, they are ignored, they die alone. That's why the center is called For Destitute and Dying. And when I was there, one woman, I didn't know she was completely burned, because then husbands, they burn their wives. So in this way, they can marry again. It's terrible. And one day, one woman, she called me from her bed if I could put some cream. This was the first time she called me. I didn't know her. So I went like to her bed, like super happy. And when I arrived, I saw that she was completely burnt. And she was asking me to put cream in all her burnt skin. And I can tell you this was a very hard experience. Like she was allowing me to touch all her suffering. And we had like a very nice moment together because I was trying to do it like the kindest way I found because this means a lot for her. But she was trusting in me, you know. But wow, we made a connection from that moment.
Wow.
And another day, there was a woman that she was about to die. Well, the sisters called all volunteers and all sisters to go around her bed. And around her bed, we started praying that God have mercy to take the soul to heaven. And we were like an army praying for her. And even some women went to her bed and they asked for forgiveness.
Wow.
Or something that I don't know. They had I don't know what they forgave because they are also angels. And in this very last moment, she was looking at me and she was like saying bye. She was like pointing heaven. She knew she was going to heaven. If she wasn't in the center, she will be dying alone in the street.
Yeah.
Wow, now she's dying with an army around her bed, being with her in the last moments, praying for her. Mother Teresa, she used to say that sometimes you feel that what you do is a drop in the ocean, but the ocean is not the same without this drop. Yeah. So what we are doing is a drop, but at the same time, this drop means a difference in the life of this woman.
I think one of my favorite moments at church in the community here in Munich is that when we say the Our Father, we all hold hands and we form this huge circle around the church. And for me, you feel the energy, you feel the spirit, you feel the prayer of these people just coming together. And I can so imagine that in India with the woman who passed away. And I'm sure she appreciated your prayers and she felt the community, she felt the love, which is exactly what Mother Teresa is preaching. You and those sisters and the volunteers are changing lives and making huge, huge, huge differences. It's unbelievable. It's incredible.
Mother Teresa, she also used to say that Calcutta is very close to you. So this means that you don't have to go to the other side of the world to help. Everywhere where we are, we can be a light for others. We can help. We can love. And also Mother Teresa, she used to say that loneliness and lack of love is one of the hardest things for a person. And she was saying this when she was living in Calcutta, where there is like a lot of material poverty. But she's pointing that beyond this material poverty, there is a spiritual poverty also. And this, you can find it everywhere. Loneliness, lack of love, lack of sense in the life, lack of faith, lack of hope. There is something that a human being suffers even more than not having something to eat, that is not being loved. We can all be missionaries everywhere.
That's incredible.
And just to finish, so this was my work from Monday to Sundays, except Thursdays. And on Thursdays, I was helping in a very small school, very poor school, to do homework, English and math homework. And they were like 20 girls and boys sitting down in the floor. You know, the conditions were very poor, but they were so motivated to learn because they knew that learning will give them opportunities, will allow them to live this poverty vicious cycle. And I was impressed by, wow, these little boys and girls, they were queuing, they were lining up and they were fighting in the line because they wanted more homework from me. Wow. So I don't see this in my country, like children fighting because they want homework. Yeah. Actually, it's the opposite.
I think it makes you realize how we take education for granted. We take the opportunities and the paths that we lead now for granted, whether it's going to kindergarten, high school, middle school, university, and following a path.
And they don't care if they are sitting down in the floor, if they have only one pencil and they have the same notebook for all subjects.
How important do you think that volunteering, taking the time to do this, means not only to you, but also the people there and the sisters there, because they dedicate their lives doing this every single day?
I admire the sisters because I was there for 7 weeks, but they are there 24 hours, 365 days per year, and all their life dedicated to the poorest of the poor. It's beautiful to see that every day in Calcutta arrives new volunteers from all over the world. And there were people from teenagers, young people, university students, professional adults, even retired people. You spend your time with a purpose, and it's when given that we receive. So giving so much love, you receive even more, like 100% more. and every person had like a different reason for which they had arrived there. So it was also very interesting to talk to volunteers, like what made you to decide to come here? It's easy to have a lot of things in our agendas. You can always have a full agenda, meeting everybody, meeting friends, going everywhere. And then you say, oh, I don't find time for this. But many times it's not about I have time, it's about I want to have time for this. I want to give time to this.
Yeah.
And in every city, there is a lot of suffering, not only in Africa or in developing countries, but also in Europe and developed countries. There is too much to do everywhere.
And if you could leave us with one piece of advice or one key message from your experience, what would it be?
To love, like wherever you are, seek God and love, and to have hope. And I will repeat what my colleague used to say: no risk, no fun.
It's a good life motto.
I have faith in God, also to risk, but taking my decisions to prayer. Even if it's risky, when I have peace in my heart that comes from the prayer, then I know I'm going to do this decision. So it's also an invitation to pray and to have hope.
And did the experience in India and the experience of deciding to take the risk, did it bring you closer to God?
Definitely. The morning mass was giving me the strength to go and work, to go and love. I wouldn't have been able to do this experience, me personally, I'm talking about myself, without prayer, without my faith, without the daily mass in the morning, and without the daily prayer in the evening, to close the day, a completely rest of my soul, of all the suffering I have seen, from all the experiences I had in the day. I was coming to prayer and I was resting my soul. And God was giving me hope. He was like giving me sense in many of the situations I had lived. He was giving light. So sometimes I was in the prayer of the evening, I was having a lot of questions. Why this? Why I saw this? Why this? And in the deepest of my heart, God was answering me, and God was giving consolation. So of course, this spiritual support I had was key. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to love the girls. I would have loved them with my love that is limited, but I was asking every morning God's grace to bring His love to them.
Thank you so much for everything that you've done for those girls and doing it with all of your heart. I think that's the real inspiration here, and spreading the message of love, spreading the message of hope and community and missionary work. And it's just so inspiring to me and to everybody who's listening or watching now.
Thank you, Alexandra, for the time, for this opportunity to share my experience. And probably I have forgotten many things to share. But yeah, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you know somebody who's inspirational, motivational in your life, or if you are that somebody and would like to share your story, please do reach out to me. Otherwise, keep on spreading the love and spread a smile a day.